What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Good evening, everybody. I was so busy trying to find the person to mute that I muted myself. Welcome to the Awakening World. I'm Love Coach Scott Katamas, and it's our Wednesday night edition, and we are all going to do some traveling together tonight. We're going to travel all the way to Dharamsala, India, where we are going to vicariously experience what some of our favorite luminary leaders recently experienced. So I'm really excited because tonight we get to honor really four amazing women, each of whom are tireless in their efforts to create an awakening world. And you've seen some of them on the show before. I'll start with Dr. Marty Casey is back. And Dr. Marty Casey didn't go to Dharamsala, but she is working with the White House. And we're going to learn all about that. So that's pretty exciting. One of my absolute favorite co-hosts is with us. You saw her in the trailer. She's one of the people we highlight. It's Rev Deb, which is my affectionate term for her. Her full name would be Reverend Deborah Moldow. And it's great to have you with us. But you'll always be Rev Deb to me. And her primary partner professionally is Diane Williams. And together they are the women that really make the engine go with the Evolutionary Leaders Network and the Source of Synergy Foundation. We're going to learn a little bit more about that. And then the woman who I think, put this whole thing together, she's Olivia Hansen. And this is her second time on the show. It's been a while, Olivia, but we sure are excited to learn all about your trip, your travels, your adventures, and what it was like meeting the Dalai Lama. And we're going to watch video, photos. So it's going to be travelogue with Rev Deb, Diane, and Olivia. But to get the ball rolling, we always want to start. And there he is in Dharamsala. Or is that Dharamsala or Lhasa?
This is Lhasa. That's Potala Palace, the home of many of the Dalai Lamas since the 1700 AD. I think that's 700 AD. Anyway, yes. And I was here just over a decade ago and had an amazing time coming into myself. And I thought it was rather appropriate to put this this image behind me, the stupa, of course, which is the prayer center, and the amazing Potala Palace behind me.
Mm-hmm. You are not only our co-pilot and house musical artist, you are the king of backdrops.
Woo-hoo.
And I see Eleanor Troy and Ian are here, so let's do a little movement, a little dancing.
Nothing in my life's the same. It seems my world is falling into the dust that gave it birth. Empty feelings find me deep in contemplation, waiting for the rise of Mother Earth. And we all know what we've come here for, and we all feel that our hearts are true, and together we will make it home, and we'll trust to love once more. La 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 la. Walking through these fields of fear that bid for my attention. I don't live here anymore. I surrender to the flow that gives me new direction. All there is to do is trust and fly. And we all know what we've come here for, and we all feel that our hearts are true, and together we will make it home, and we'll trust to love once more. Dice a lo que vinimos, es sincero nuestro corazón. Lograremos ir a casa juntos, confiando otra vez en el amor.
Let's all twinkle, beloved Omashar. A wonderful way to get us started. Thank you, thank you, thank you, beloved Omashar.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And I so enjoy watching everybody dancing. It's just, it's a very beautiful, beautiful thing.
It's just a family, and I just feel this, and it just starts the show off, and we rise to the highest point at the beginning. That's the start.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, we are about to take an amazing journey, and I'm going to bring up Olivia. Olivia, tell us a little bit about how this all came together, and then in a moment, of course, I'm going to show the video that you provided.
Well, Scott, I was just thinking that really all of us were together in Sedona for the Holo movement in March of this year. And the Spiritual Life TV channel was one of the sponsors. And our goal there was to bring together so many leaders of consciousness and organizations so that we could really work together and up-level this idea of oneness and reach more and more of our 8 billion brothers and sisters in the world. So it was the idea of cooperation, collaboration, and seeing how we could do even more. And we had a great gathering of people, and so many good things came out of that one gathering. And what is the Holo movement? Well, I for a lot of people that aren't that familiar with that term, I just add the Holo movement of oneness, and then you get a sense of what it's about. So for me, I was thinking about that too. What could be done beyond what I was already doing? And I had the Synthesis Foundation, which promotes bringing together all these different groups and ideas and bringing everything together in a synthesis of oneness. And my Spiritual Life TV channel offers practical wisdom for spiritual living, and it has things like talking about in religion, for example, the golden rule that's found in every major religion. So there were things like that were going on, but what more could be done? And when I was thinking about this idea, I thought of, well, role models. Who is really embodying this idea of oneness that can really inspire us to do more and more in our own lives with kindness, caring, and compassion? So, of course, who did I think of? I thought of the Dalai Lama. And I had had a lot of experience with the Dalai Lama in the past, co-sponsoring a lot of his programs when he would come to the United States, and even Kala Chakra for World Peace in 2011, which is a major event in the Buddhist tradition that is open to the public. And so 14,000 people come, and that was held in Washington, D.C. And then he chose the start date as his birthday, July 6th. So, of course, we had to do something special. So then this idea of doing a world peace talk for the public and broadcasting it all over came about. So that was a suggestion that I had. And then we ended up finding our location to be on the West Lawn of the U.S. Capitol. So it was an amazing, wonderful event, and it was broadcast all around the world. So I've had experience working with him. I know he is just as genuine in person as we see him on the media, and really lives and embodies this idea of oneness. And certainly compassion. Compassion is what he is noted to be an embodiment of. So I was talking to my dear friend Rinchen Darlow, who heads up the Tibet Fund and since retired, and about the Dalai Lama and this idea of creating role models and so forth. And Rinchen said to me, so we need to give Rinchen credit here. Rinchen said, well, Olivia, why don't you create an award for oneness, And I said, Rinchen, what a great idea, And of course, the first one would be the Dalai Lama. But then I said it could be an organization as well, because so many organizations are doing such great work. And then we could give a little seed money to them to help them continue their work. So that's how this came about. And Rinchen Darlow was one of the people that went on the trip to Dharamsala, as well as our beloved Deborah Waldau, and Diane Williams. And so there were four of us, and we were and the sponsoring group was my Spiritual Life TV channel, because that is a public outreach for everybody can tune into and watch videos that are inspiring and uplifting. So that's how it began, and and then we worked over the summer making our plans, and I was working with the Dalai Lama's secretaries, who I knew well, and we came up with our timing of this, and then also that while we were there, we wanted to see so many of the important Tibetan sites and people and so forth, which Deborah and Diane will talk about more later on. But then we planned our trip for October, And Deborah and I went to New York for the Tibet Fund Gala. Deborah had been there before with me, and last year they kindly honored me with an award at the gala. And so I was so glad that Deborah could come and we could meet there with Rinchen. And the beautiful thing too was Deborah's in Mexico, I'm in Phoenix, and there are no direct flights to Dharamsala. It would have taken us days to get there. But from New York, you could fly 13 hours to Delhi, and then that was going to work out really well. So that's what we did. And Diane was in Europe and she met us there. And then we in Delhi, and then we flew on to Dharamsala and made this award presentation. So it was so wonderful that the Dalai Lama's secretaries had the media team film us. So we had video and 2 photographers, and that allowed me to be able to put together a wonderful pictorial to share with everyone. And then I also put in pictures because it was really kind of cool. As I was showing the Dalai Lama certain pictures, and a lot of them were from the Holo movement gathering. Why? Because I gave a presentation about the Dalai Lama there, if you'll remember, and so we had well, you'll see these big pictures of the Dalai Lama and David Bohm, who had the idea of the name of the Holo movement, and you'll see Deborah in front of one of them about this tall, and the picture's as big as a wall, so it's kind of fun. So that's coming up too.
Fantastic. Well, let's watch the video. And right after the video, we're going to go to Dr. Marty Casey for tonight's evening meditation. I want to welcome our community coming in for meditation. But let's take a look at this wonderful video. I'm excited.
Recently, 3 coworkers and I traveled to Dharamsala, India, to present the Oneness of Humanity Award from the Spiritual Life TV channel to His Holiness, the Dalai Lama. Accompanying me were Diane Williams, Rinchen Darlow, and Deborah Moldo. I noted that the purpose of our trip to Dharamsala is to honor His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, with the Oneness of Humanity Award for his outstanding life's effort to promote oneness and kindness and compassion, and to be such a shining example of it himself. I love his simple message, we are all the same. Everyone can understand that. It's similar with his messages for us about expressing kindness and compassion too. At this critical time for the world, we need His Holiness the Dalai Lama, who is the embodiment of these high ideals. He was the natural choice for the first recipient of the Oneness of Humanity Award, which will continue to be given each year. His Holiness sets the inspiring model for future recipients of the award, as well as for all of us and our 8 billion brothers and sisters all over the world in our one human family. It is truly a joy to present this award to His Holiness, the Dalai Lama. And here are some pictures of the award presentation.
대통령 조들이 이 겨울음식 텐카시 제브레 들이 쿠란조단데 싱다티 쿠란조 촉보촌에 싱다디 겨울음식을 필요 지스티 촉보디 진다디 쿠란데서 땡큐 디 딩임도 단데 청우지 두디 카상도 달라마 트러스트 디나사샤 랑
And then Yes. Oh, how did you see that?
He's going to hold it and take the photo.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to look here, please? Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. No. 속보들로 콘수 디직도 Oneness of Humanity Award.
Oneness.
Of Humanity
Digital.
Award. 제가 디 달로 겨울음 제일 필요해인스. 딩임도 청우딩 아주 가상 대게를 디난 차소. 디야 필요해인스 올리비아.
Thank you.
And this is the sponsoring group, Spiritual Life TV. And these are the pictures of you and the World Peace Talk that you gave on the West Lawn of the U.S. Capitol. And we'll leave you with that.
Concept of oneness of entire humanity. That's my main effort. Oneness of entire humanity. That's my main effort.
Yes. Because here we have the Holo movement, and this was your
Yes,
sign.
oneness
Yes,
of humanity.
from London. Yes.
Very good, very good.
And so I was giving a talk about what you
Thank
were
you.
doing, and I gave a talk, and then we had these pictures of you blown up, of you and David Bohm.
David Bohm를 겨울음 징에마 사이언티스트기와 David Bohm.
David Bohm.
디 겨울음 제다 David Bohm 생게 구바 지그레샤.
Yes. So I'm giving a talk and I'm telling them about you and David Bohm. And then here's a big
David Bohm,
picture
no.
of you and David Bohm. And this is one of our friends who, Deborah, who wanted to be here.
No.
And of course, Rinchen Darlow is here next to you. And then this is Diane, and these are the two sponsors of the Holo movement. And that is bringing together all these leaders of groups that promote oneness, like unity, unify, humanity's team.
겨울음 제 공부 여부 찍봤던데 Oneness of Humanity 디수 상마 레고 다가라 빙에레스. 콘주 촌주 촌에 겨울음 제 깔라빙에는 콘주 야마 점블링 나로 캬비아 칸투 되치기요시기도.
Yes.
No.
And these are all the leaders you've inspired. And we said, let's us leaders work together and get the oneness of humanity out more into the world. So that is what we're doing there.
Yeah.
All these leaders of organizations. And then this was when I announced the first Oneness of Humanity Award to you, Your Holiness, because you were such an outstanding example of oneness.
Thank you.
And this is a book about the Holo movement, all these people that
찍어서
that wrote about the oneness of humanity.
No.
With our record.
You want these blessed?
Yeah. And then we would love to have you bless these katas and these healing malas from someone who does wonderful healing, and he never charges for it.
Thank you for blessing our work. Thank you for your work.
Good.
We would appreciate your blessing for the work of oneness.
그런서 레고즈졸 겨울음지 투문나로 나슈도. No. Thank you.
Thank you.
Beautiful. You know, in the spirit of oneness, I just want to take a moment and, you know, kind of acknowledge that every single one of our audience members, whether they're in the Zoom room with us or watching on Facebook or Conscious Awakening Network, however you're seeing this, we all are part of this beautiful movement. Each and every one of us is playing our role. And, you know, these three ladies had the blessing to actually take the trip and to have the experience, but we all can feel the experience through them. And after our evening meditation, I'm really looking forward to hearing from each of you what this experience was like, kind of your spiritual journey, your personal journey, how it's impacted you and your evolution. because all of you are evolutionary leaders. So I'm really looking forward to kind of connecting with each and every one of you. And it is 6:30 p.m. And as most of you know, but those of you who don't, every night we offer a meditation at 6:30 p.m. And I'll put into the chat box where you can find it. But on Wednesdays and Saturdays, it's in conjunction with the Awakening World show. And we have an amazing presenter. We're going to all hear about her incredible experience after she leads a meditation. But when I realized that Dr. Marty Casey was with us and she gives beautiful prayer, I asked her if she would be willing to lead tonight's meditation, prayer for peace, visualization. Dr. Marty Casey, welcome.
Wow, thank you, Scott. Oh my goodness, I'm still trying to right now just kind of catch my breath after witnessing what we just witnessed. We witnessed history.
Hmm.
We've witnessed the future of where we are going and even the why of our yes. We individually have said yes to our missions and our purpose. And it's almost as if we are like stars in the sky and we're finding one another. We're all individually shining bright, but when you see stars even begin to line up and collectively they become a collective star as one. And I was there in Sedona for the Hola movement. And I remember the presentation from the Dalai Lama. And to be there in March and to see this right now, I'm so seriously blown away. And so my meditation, if you will, I would like for this almost to be like a small version of a TED Talk. I would like this to be really an opportunity to inspire and to speak into all of our hearts right now, because I am a global peace ambassador that I try to lead by spirit. And so, if you will, I want to stay right in the synergy of what we just witnessed. I don't want to take us out of that. But what I am going to ask each individual to do right now, if we can collectively just take a breath. If we could collectively take a breath together, then I believe that we will open up at the same time and we'll be able to receive however the Spirit leads me to share. So on the count of 3, I'm just going to ask you to take the deepest breath that your lungs will allow you to take. And then we're going to hold for 3, and then you're just going to slowly blow it out. This is the thing, you may not blow it out in the same amount of time as the other individuals on here, and that is okay. And the reason that it is okay is because even when we're moving together, sometimes our breaths may be out of sync, but the good news is we are still breathing. And as long as we have life in our bodies, we have the opportunity to say yes. So 1, 2, 3, inhale, hold, 2, 3, exhale slowly at your pace. Relaxing the mind, relaxing your neck and your shoulders, relaxing your torso, your knees, and your feet. Relaxing every part of the body so that you can empty out from today all of those things that took place today, all of those people that you had spoken to and you've seen, the emails that you've read, the calls that you made. We just want to release that right now, just so that we can be empty. What I love about being empty is that it's an opportunity to be used. And when we make ourselves available to be used, it's as if we're telling the universe, yes, I will. Can I get you to say that right now with me? Yes, I will. Stay relaxed, stay open, stay available. And let's say it one more time. Yes, I will. That's exactly what those ladies said that's here with us tonight. When they received the call to go and to honor and to meet the Dalai Lama and thanking him for all that he's done and he will continue to do. But how many of us have been doing the work and have not ever received that honor? I can only imagine how he felt that day. But that came because they said, yes, I will. They inspired the Dalai Lama to continue to do his will and his work. Who do we need to connect to thank them for what they've already done? To say that we see them and we recognize that your work may not be easy, but it's necessary. And even if we can't award you, we just simply want to say thank you for what you are doing. Your yes, I will is connected to someone else's purpose. Those words are powerful tonight. And I want you to think about who it is that you need to simply pray for, lift up, think about, connect to. Because we all need encouragement, especially in times like these. We all need someone to say, I see you. I believe in you. And I thank you. And I ask that you remember that we are all connected and all of our work is connected together. I look at life like a puzzle, a 5,000 piece puzzle, although it's 8 million of us on this earth, but a 5,000 puzzle piece. My piece sits here. Scott's piece sits here. Deborah's piece sits and connects, and we just keep connecting. And we keep connecting until we find all the pieces clicking together. That's why it's important to remember no judgment, just love. Remember to just love the work that each individual is doing. And it doesn't matter where that puzzle piece is, they're still connected to the whole. And when I think of the whole movement, that's what I think about in that oneness. We're one puzzle with many different pieces coming together. Remember to say, yes, I will. And you will activate someone else to continue to move in purpose. I'm Dr. Marty Casey, and I thank you.
Thank you so much, Marty. And I so appreciate always where you take things. Thank you for really helping us all to remember that we create peace in the world or taking time to honor people who could use some validation, who could use some appreciation, who could use some acknowledgement. Yeah. You know, as I was watching Olivia on the talk about how this is the very first award of its kind, and she's starting at the at the top, giving it to the
Oh
top.
yeah, she she went way high.
Yeah, like, boy, talk about starting at the top, right?
I was like, oh my God, who could be next?
Well, I think you should be, or
Oh
Mary
no.
Deb, or Diane Williams, because really all of the women that are on this show tonight, each and every one of you really are doing incredible work. And I do want for you to tell people a little bit about your work with the Ungun Institute and how that led you to working with the White House.
Yes, thank you, Scott. And again, brother, thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure. I feel like I'm at home when I come here to the show. So I'm very appreciative. Ungun Institute, I want to just, for those who may not be familiar with me or the work that we do, we are a peace education organization. And so when you hear the word ungun, it's simply reminding us of the trauma that we must continue to disarm on a daily basis. Disarming the trauma in our lives. Thank you, Scott, for bringing this up. Stop, breathe, and think. This is one of our global peace responses that's associated with our company. And we have over 24 billboards campaign that we have up in the city of St. Louis, Missouri. And what I love about that, just simply stop, breathe, and think. It's very, very simple. All of the techniques, tools, and techniques that we create, we try to keep it simple so that it can be remembered in the time of need. I specifically want to jump to this to just share a little bit about that in particular. When we were younger, and they said if ever our bodies caught on fire, we should what? Stop, drop, and roll. Well, I said, no one ever told us what to do when our brains catch on fire. Because when it feels like our brains catch on fire, we seem to panic and anxiety kicks in. And this is where the hurt and pain kicks in. Hurt people, healed people, heal people. So if we can just stop, take a breath, and think, then we can appropriately respond and we keep ourselves safe. And so therefore we can keep others around us safe. And these are the tools and techniques that we believe that makes the difference in how the communities are responding to violence. I had an opportunity this past Friday to talk with Gregory Jackson Jr., and he is the newly appointed Deputy Director of the White House Office for Gun Violence Prevention. Dr. Gregory Jackson Jr. Is now leading this office, if you will, in the White House over the last 13 weeks. So it's fairly new. And I was excited because he had an opportunity to hear about the work that we're doing here in St. Louis with Ungun Institute. And that means that we are really having an impact and making a difference. And I'm very grateful for that. But I also want to just clearly say that we're not the only ones in the nation that is doing this work. There's so many organizations around the nation that's doing this work. But the reason that they found this to be important at this time is because there's also has been a 37% increase in gun violence in Black communities. 37% increase. And that's an epidemic. And it affects all of us. Although they're looking at this from a very tight lens, looking at this from Black communities, I have to personally say anyone who has been shot and killed in any community, it affects all communities and it affects all people. So I think it's very important that we all continue to do this work. So I was very happy to see that the White House, our sitting president at this time, is understanding how important this work is. They have issued millions of dollars. As a matter of fact, a bipartisan Safety Communities Act has been passed. And it is the first time that a bipartisan act has been passed in the last, I believe, 30 years. I can't begin to tell you the strides that we're making right now to see the needle move and to be connected, Scott, with be connected with you and other leaders in this space really helps me to bring us from what we do over to the Black communities all the way to the White House. And that's what I was talking about earlier with the puzzle pieces. We don't know how we're connecting to one another and how that will make the difference in the end. And so I want you to know that although I have been basically asked to be a part of this movement, I can't move without you. I can't move without all of those who are tuning in right now and listening and hearing and understanding. You have an opportunity to have some information right now that the whole world does not have. This conversation just happened on Friday. This office has only been in play for 13 weeks. So we have a chance to come together, to unite and to hear one another, to take that time to stop, breathe, and think so we can offer what we personally can to make the difference. I want to share just a couple of more things and then I'll go ahead and turn it over because I'm excited to hear more about this trip. I am vicariously living through them in this trip that they took, so I'm excited about it. Three ways that they're showing that increase is happening with the gun violence, and I just want to make everyone aware of this, is that there has been a lot of trafficking for guns for profit and all over the nation. And I don't think that's anything that we are unfamiliar with, but the gun trafficking is becoming such an issue that as they're gun trafficking and these guns are falling in the hands of individuals in certain communities, it just causes the gun violence to continue to rise. There's also been a lot of home thefts. And so I want to make you aware of that because again, I'm not here to say that someone should own a gun or not own a gun, but I am here to say to you that as home thefts begin to increase, you want to make sure if you choose to own a gun that it is safely and properly put away. And that brings us to the third one, which is in the homes, they have not been securely stored. This also on another part of the spectrum that Ungun deals with violence. We deal with bullying, uh, domestic violence, suicide, up to gun violence. This also helps to keep down some of the suicide rates that we're also seeing increase as well. So let's be very proactive on how we are showing up in the world and dealing with firearms. Let's be proactive on how we're showing up in the world and dealing with one another. I know that we can fight this gun violence issue that we have that's happening across the nation if, again, we say, yes, I will. The last and final thing that I want to say, Scott, I want to leave this with on the minds of everyone. If I say to you, we're about to go to war, we know what that looks like. We know what that feels like, unfortunately. We know the clothes that we wear. We probably even know the songs that we would sing and the things that we would say and where we would go. But if I simply say to you, let's go to peace, we don't know what that is. And that's the part that's sad. If we really want to see peace on earth, we have to start living peace. And we have to be peace, and we have to collectively create peace together. So thank you again for this opportunity to share. And I hope to come back and share more. I've also just recently connected and will be partnering with Scarlett Lewis. And Scarlett Lewis, she has the movement called the Choose Love Movement. And her son was 7 years old when he was unfortunately shot and killed in a school shooting at Sandy Hook 10 years ago. And she and I have partnered so that we can do this work because it's not just in the Black community, but we're also concerned with mass shootings that's happening in our schools in the nation. And we believe that when she and I come together, we will complete that puzzle on what we need to do to, again, make sure that we keep our city safe.
Thank you so much, Marty. Thank you so much. And comments are coming in, lots of appreciations for you. And I like what I'm reading that Sylvia wrote, which is very global peace tribe-ish. There's stop, breathe, think. And for many of us, stop, breathe, and sing. Oh, that's definitely a good and beautiful work. And one more time, everybody, if you go to her website, which again is unguninstitute.com, that's where you can learn more about what she's doing. And it's true, hurt people hurt people. And we're blessed, probably most of us in this Zoom room and watching aren't dealing with gun violence, but we all have moments of verbal violence where we have judgmental thoughts about another person, where, and so we create peace by not ever making an enemy image out of anyone else. And Marty teaches this so beautifully. So you can learn a lot. There's her contact information if you want to reach out to Marty. I know that you're wonderful at collaborating because you collaborate with so many other people that I know. So thank you so much, Marty, for being a big part of our awakening world. We love you.
Thank you. I love you as well.
Oh, boy. I want to follow up on that for just one moment. My mentor, Marshall Rosenberg, the founder of Nonviolent Communication, said, if you want to create peace in the world, stop all enemy images. What does that mean? When a soldier goes to war, when a soldier is getting ready to go to war, they train him to dehumanize the enemy. So, during World War II, American soldiers weren't sent to kill Hans and Jürgen, but they were off to kill the evil Nazis. And we see it today where terrible, terrible, terrible things are happening. And it's kind of lumping an entire people under a terrorist, name. But we ourselves do that in little baby ways. Anytime we dehumanize someone by not seeing John, but seeing that idiot, or not seeing Betty, but seeing that bitch, pardon my language. And so a wonderful way to create peace is just to notice anytime we are dehumanizing another person or even dehumanizing ourselves. Anytime we catch ourselves going, I'm such an idiot. Oh my God, I'm such a fool. Let's not do that. Let's not dehumanize ourselves or others. There are going to be times that people make choices that have hurtful consequences. Our problem is with their behavior, not with who they are as a being. Always see the divinity in the being, even if you need to call out the behavior. So that's a message from Marshall Rosenberg coming through the ethers to me and inspired by what Marty Casey is doing. All right, I get to go to Rev Deb. Rev Deb, I am so excited to hear about your experience and Diane's experience of this incredible trip. So I am turning it over to you, my friend.
Well, I want to start by saying hello from the heart to the Global Peace Tribe. It's always such a joy to see the people who come into the Zoom room here and know that there are many, many others who are watching this on Facebook, and that everybody comes together in a spirit of peace and joy and awakening. So thank you so much, Scott, for convening the tribe.
My pleasure. Beautifully stated. Thank you.
And I also want to give a shout out to Olivia Hanson. You all saw her. You saw her video, and you see what a beam of light she is. She's such an inspiration to all of us. And while I was watching her on the video, acknowledging His Holiness for his spirit of oneness, I couldn't help thinking what Olivia is doing for oneness by having created this award, having organized our beautiful trip to Dharamsala, and continuing to teach oneness with her award, with her Spiritual Life TV channel, and also just with who she is, a beautiful, generous-hearted lovely human being. So thank you so much, Olivia, for making this trip possible. Yeah, and you may have noticed that I was not in those pictures with the Dalai Lama. That's because I caught a cold in Dharamsala.
Oh,
And the Dalai Lama is advancing in years, and he had just come off a 2-month illness, a cold himself. And I just did not want to expose him to whatever had brought me down. So I didn't go. And I have met him before, and I'll talk about that a little bit in the slideshow that we're about to present. So Diane Williams and we were just so overjoyed to receive this invitation from Olivia to accompany her on this beautiful mission. What an honor and what an opportunity for us to visit beautiful Dharamsala. We both have connections in our lives with Tibetan Buddhism. So it was doubly rich for us to be there. And we'll talk about some of those things when we show you the slides. So Diane, is there anything you'd like to say before we jump in?
Well, just thank you, Scott. We're really so pleased to be part of the Global Peace Tribe of the Awakening World and to share with you our visit to Dharamsala. And we just wish to express our deep gratitude to you and Almashar, Dr. Marty, Olivia, everybody with the Global Peace Tribe team for all the amazing ways each of you are contributing to the cultivation of global peace and oneness in the world. So thank you so much. So Deborah, should we just start? Or
okay, we're going to jump in.
Do you have the slideshow?
We have a 20-minute slideshow, and we're going to break it up in 3 segments so that you can ask us questions or we can have brief chats about what we've seen. So I'm going to try and share my screen and make this happen. So everybody hold your breath for a minute and we'll see.
Yes. Okay. Great.
Okay, take it away, Diane.
Okay, so Deborah and I are just really, first I want to say we're so grateful, like she said, to our beloved friend Olivia Hansen, founder and president of the Spiritual Life TV channel and the Synthesis Foundation, for inviting us on this special journey to Dharamsala to present the Oneness of Humanity Award to His Holiness the Dalai Lama, along with our dear friend Rinchen Darlo. And Olivia mentioned he was president of the Tibet Fund, and he also served as the Dalai Lama's representative to the Americas. So while in Dharamsala, we also had the opportunity to be immersed in Tibetan culture, and we're really delighted to be able to share with you some of the highlights of our time there. So Deborah, I'm going to hand it back to you so you can talk about the Norbu House.
We arrived in Dharamsala, first glimpsing the peaks of the Himalayas from the small airplane coming from Delhi, and then landing in this magical place. We were warmly greeted by Mr. Wangdu at his lovely Norbu House Hotel that overlooks the town, and we were very well taken care of there. I had last been in Dharamsala 25 years ago when it was still the sleepy mountain town where the Tibetan community settled in 1959 after being gifted land in this old British hill station by Jawaharlal Nehru, who was the Prime Minister of India. But now Dharamsala has grown into a bustling Indian center filled with hotels and businesses and shops. But the magic comes from the Tibetans, who have reestablished the seat of their colorful and deeply spiritual culture there. On our first morning, Rinchen Darlo took us to the main temple, where we were approached by a class of Indian students who were thrilled to meet foreigners. So you can see us being joyfully swarmed here. I was beginning to see the changes since my previous visits. My first as an editor for Barry Bryant's groundbreaking book on the Wheel of Time Sand Mandala, which is the Kala Chakra Sand Mandala. And His Holiness wrote the introduction to this book. And Barry was the first one to take the sand mandala out of the ritual. And he asked permission of His Holiness to do this and bring it into museums and cultural institutions. So if any of you have seen sand mandalas and how beautiful they are, you have Barry to thank for that. Rinchen Darlo had encouraged us to begin our visit with the Library of Tibetan Works and Archives. This was no ordinary library, but home to the remarkable paintings and sculptures and books and other artifacts that had been brought out of Tibet for preservation by folks who were often risking their lives crossing the mountains into exile.
So we were fortunate enough to have medical appointments made for us by the Dalai Lama's secretaries with Dr. Sawan Tamdin, who is the visiting personal physician to His Holiness the Dalai Lama and the chief medical officer at the Tibetan Medical and Astro Institute. And during our appointments, Dr. Tamdin took our pulses and we were able to share, he was able to share with us any issues he detected. And he gave us very good advice on how to take care of our health. And it was pretty remarkable how accurate he was, this pulse reading. I said to Olivia and Deborah after he took my pulse that it was like he was a medical psychic, as he was so accurate just from the pulse taking. So traditional holistic Tibetan system of medicine, astronomy, and astrology has been practiced for over 3,000 years. And compassion towards everyone is at the essence of Tibetan medicine. And I was really, really touched to hear that the Institute runs a wide network of 57 branch medical clinics in India and around the world and provides healthcare to anyone in need. And I personally can attest to the power of Tibetan medicine. Many years ago, I had terrible allergies to the point that I was sneezing all the time and I had a constant runny nose. And I took all sorts of allergy relief medicine and nothing worked. And when I used Tibetan medicine, miraculously, I never had the same issue again. It doesn't taste so great, Tibetan medicine, but it works. And so also we went to the Medical and Astral Museum, which was very close to the medical center. And we had the opportunity to go and see actually Tibetan medicine, which you see here in the pictures, and their plant and mineral sources and instruments that have been used for various treatments, and thangkas that are Tibetan Buddhist paintings that are believed to have the power to alleviate physical and mental suffering and to increase the healing powers for not only ourselves, but for others. And you'll see in this picture, the man in the lower right-hand corner making the Tibetan medicine, that's Dr. Sawan Tamdin, the doctor who read our pulses when he was younger. So he's been at it quite a long time. And it's truly touching how he dedicated his life to healing others through this very effective form of medicine, Tibetan medicine. So we're going to stop here and we can continue our PowerPoint later on. So Scott, we don't know if you wanted to, if people might want to ask questions or if there's another way you might want to.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's wonderful. And do they provide medical support for all visitors, or how did that come about?
Yes, and it's pretty amazing because, you know, the Indians have a caste system. And sometimes the people that they consider untouchables, in quote, do not get medical treatment. So this clinic makes sure that they take care of anybody that needs. So it was amazing. There was a long line, but we all left with Tibetan medicine ourselves for you know, our different ailments. And yeah, so it's very touching how they really take care of everyone. And they even have a clinic in New Jersey in the United States for people that might want to get Tibetan medicine in the US.
I enjoyed seeing Rev Deb in different parts of her life. And Rev Deb, what are some of the ways that Dharamsala has changed and the energy there has changed during your
I just want to give a shout out to Jeffrey Colebrook and the picture of the Dalai Lama that he's holding up.
Younger version of the Dalai Lama, right?
Oh, okay, let me
Dark
see
hair.
Oh,
There we go. Yeah. Beautiful sketch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice
Nice
portrait.
to presence him.
okay, thank
Well, in answer to your question, I'm so impressed by what the Tibetan people have accomplished in Dharamsala. It's a village, it's a mountain village, or it was before it became this attraction, shall we say. And when the Tibetan people went into exile, they determined to recreate their culture, to rebuild their institutions. As you all know, the Chinese invaded Tibet. Well, that's the Tibetan point of view. From the Chinese point of view, it was always part of China. The Tibetans don't agree with that and didn't feel comfortable in the Chinese culture, which is not hospitable to religion, which their culture is based on. So and especially when the Dalai Lama went into exile in 1959, he is the head of Tibetan Buddhism. So technically, he's the head of one sect of Tibetan Buddhism, but he's recognized by all Tibetans as their leader. So many people wanted to follow him to India, and India was remarkably welcoming to these Tibetans. But they were a ragtag group at that time. And gradually, more and more Tibetans came to Dharamsala and brought with them, and if you can imagine, crossing the Himalayas as refugees with their precious scriptures and their tankas and their artifacts of great value, almost exclusively religious, because their whole culture is based on their spirituality. It's just so remarkable to see how these institutions have been built up in Dharamsala, and we'll be showing you a few more of them in the next segment of her presentation.
You know, I want to just mention to people that there's a beautiful movie about the young Dalai Lamas. Rev Deb was kind of telling just the briefest of story about his extraordinary escape from Tibet. There's a beautiful movie called Kundun that was directed by Martin Scorsese. And actually, the screenwriter was a friend of mine, Melissa Matheson. And it's a beautiful movie. I highly recommend it if anybody hasn't seen it. And Marty Casey has a question for you. Marty, you're up.
Yes, Diane, you mentioned that there were pictures that you all had an opportunity to see that I guess the pictures gave some type of healing background.
Tonkas.
Yes.
Was it Tonkas?
Yes.
Yes.
So did you get an opportunity to photograph some of the pictures, or where can we find those?
Yes, and actually, if you Google just Tibetan Tonkas, you'll see some beautiful ones, but they have different ones for different purposes. For instance, there's a medicine Buddha Tonka that people meditate with when they're sick. It's a blue Buddha. So yeah, there's so many different varieties of Tonkas. But yes, we went in, we'll talk about this in a minute, but we went to the Norbalinga Institute, and that's a place where people do arts and crafts and preserve Tibetan culture that way. And there were such beautiful tankas on display. And Olivia, actually, maybe she might want to share, because she bought one that was very significant and very meaningful to her. So Olivia, do you want to share about the meaning of that tanka?
Sure. Well, the idea of the golden rule being found, love thy neighbor, being found in every major religion. And we know that Christianity expects the return of the Christ. And interestingly, the Lord Buddha Maitreya is expected to return. And in fact, I don't know if you can see I actually have a sculpture here. The only difference in the tanka that I bought is that the Buddha is not cross-legged. The Buddha has his feet down because he is the coming one. So I'll scoot out of the way. Can you see that the feet, I'm trying to point.
Yes, we can see
The
it.
feet are down on the floor. So this idea of the coming one is found in Christianity and it's found in Buddhism. And that's why it really speaks to me to have that particular sculpture and the tanka that I bought with the Buddha, the coming one with the feet down, because it's a similar idea, coming from the source of divinity, whatever we might believe that is. So once again, this idea of oneness is showing up.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
One more question, and we'll go back to the slideshow. But this is from one of our readers. Susan Bloomquist is asking, do the Tibetan people still hope to return back to Tibet? Is that still an active vision, prayer? Where do they stand with that?
I think it would be, yeah. Do you want to take that, Deborah? Or
That's a heartbreaking question
yeah,
because they all yearn to go back to their homeland, as people in exile tend to do. And yet their homeland is no longer their own. So I don't think that the communities in exile are expecting to be able to go home anytime soon. And that's why it's so important to preserve their culture. Their culture developed in isolation in the mountains, in the Himalayas, over centuries. And they have so much richness to share with the world that it's really important. The exile communities are really important because they're the ones who are preserving the culture, who are making it available to us. I mean, how amazing. When I was growing up, I didn't know who the Dalai Lama was. And now he's one of the most revered spiritual leaders in the world. So I think most Tibetans are following his leadership. And right now, that has to be in exile.
I've heard that the Dalai Lama has said that there's not going to be another Dalai Lama, but that the next Dalai Lama is the Sangha. It's us. Is that true? Is that an urban myth, or is that
well, he has said that, yes. And also, I think there was some concern from the Dalai Lama, at least what I read, that if he says, I'm going to reincarnate, then the Chinese might say, okay, this is the Dalai Lama that reincarnated, and it might not actually be the one that maybe went through all the rituals where he picks out the Dalai Lama's objects. I'm sure many of you heard about that. And it's the recognized reincarnation. So I think, I think that was one of the reasons why he did say that I will not reincarnate. But who knows? I don't think that was just firm. I know he said that at one point in time, but everything evolves. And I did hear that as well about the next would be a Sangha. So,
And
Olivia, have you heard about this?
Well, I might add, the Dalai Lama said a number of things about his potential reincarnation. He even said reincarnating as a woman because he values women so much, and his mother has always been a source of inspiration to him for kindness, compassion, and love. So I don't think because there's the Dalai Lama and there's the Panchen Lama. And the Panchen Lama that had been recognized by the Dalai Lama when he was a young boy was disappeared in his family. And so to try to protect any future incarnation. You know, I think the Dalai Lama right now is wanting to be quite vague because the Chinese, unfortunately, say that they will be the one to name the next Dalai Lama, and they did name a Panchen Lama as well. So this is a difficult situation, but the Dalai Lama has said that if the Tibetan people want another Dalai Lama, he will reincarnate. But how and when and all that is really kept very quiet for reasons that we might understand.
Thank you for answering those questions. And it is heartbreaking. It is absolutely heartbreaking. All right. Let's continue with this beautiful slideshow.
All right. And Olivia just mentioned the Dalai Lama's feelings for his mother. And now we're going to say a little bit about one of his sisters as we continue here. So let's see. First, I have to share screen. This is the Tibetan Children's Village, or TCV, that was founded in 1960, originally for the care and education of orphans, as well as destitute and refugee children from Tibet. From 1964 to 2006, its network across India, which counts more than 12,000 children, was presided over by the Dalai Lama's sister, Jetsun Pema. And its beautiful motto is others before self. The current director of TCV is Miss Labsang Somo, and she gave us a tour of this unique place. This is the only school that gives children a Tibetan education, where they learn their own language and culture along with academic skills. And TCV runs both schools and also vocational centers. Its graduates now support it with gratitude, and one of those is Mr. Wangdu, the owner of our hotel, the Norbu House. So here you see some TCV girls making momos that are Tibetan dumplings with their house mother. I love this picture that Diane captured. And on my last visit to Dharamsala in 1997 with my dear friend Monica Willard, we brought a peace pole as a gift to the Tibetan Children's Village, where it still stands at their temple. And it was a joy to see that it's still there, and they've redone the letters that have faded off. It was wonderful to see it again. And at the time, I was sponsoring a little girl at TCV, and we're still in touch through the magic of Facebook.
So we were blessed to visit several stupas in Dharamsala, and I know Omashar has a beautiful stupa of Lhasa in Lhasa, Tibet, by the Putala and his Zoom background. But stupas are an important form of Buddhist architecture, containing relics, which often holds the remains of those who have devoted their lives to spiritual practices that are dedicated to the welfare of all. And they can also contain sacred texts and objects. And this particular stupa in the photo is that of Trijang Rinpoche's. So that's a picture of him to the right, who was one of the main tutors to the Dalai Lama for more than 40 years. And his reincarnation, who I've known for many years, is currently 41 years old, and he lives in Vermont, and he is the spiritual director of the Trijang Buddhist Institute.
These pictures are just from walking up a hill in Dharamsala, and you can see all these various artifacts that are all related to Tibetan Buddhism, all of their art forms, and also this beautiful quote that we saw somewhere along the way. Why be unhappy about something if it can be remedied? And what is the use of being unhappy if it cannot be remedied? So I've always found Tibetan monks, no matter how serious their vocation is, to have wonderful warmth and humor. This is the Norbulinka, that was built to preserve Tibetan arts. You can see its stunning architecture, and they have many crafts there that are done on the premises, like weaving and wood carving and tanka painting. As you can see, we had quite an itinerary arranged by Olivia and Rinchen, which we really appreciated.
So I'd like to share a little bit of background history that Deborah shared a few minutes ago, some of it. But in March 1959, when His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama was 23 years old, he escaped Tibet by being disguised as a soldier and made a 2-week journey across the Himalayas to India, where he was welcomed by the Indian Prime Minister Nehru, who gave His Holiness permission to form the Tibetan government in exile in Dharamsala. And about 80,000 Tibetans eventually followed. So in order to preserve the rich Tibetan religious and cultural heritage, the Dalai Lama reestablished in exile traditional Tibetan learning institutions and museums, including the Tibet Museum, which we had the opportunity to visit. So this museum's permanent exhibition is called I Am Tibetan, and This Is My Story. And it highlights the many ways Tibetan culture has been rebuilt and preserved by Tibetans in exile. So through objects and photos like these and archives and personal testimonies and teachings of the Dalai Lama, one could get a full picture of Tibet's historical, political, and international history and current status. And I was very touched to read on the wall when you walk in the museum, with this museum, we reclaim our right to tell our stories on our own terms and in our own words. We are Tibetans, and this is our story. A lot has been taken away from them, so this museum is one tangible way the Tibetans are preserving their history and their culture.
You can see these amazing rare photos of the young Dalai Lama. Rinchen Darlo took us to visit the office of the Tibet Fund, which, under the patronage of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, works to preserve Tibet's rich cultural heritage and also to strengthen the Tibetan communities in exile in many parts of the world. And as you heard, the Tibet Fund honored Olivia with an award at its annual gala in New York in 2022. A key element of traditional Tibetan life has always been the monasteries, which in Tibet served as universities as well as religious centers. Since there are limits to religious freedom in Tibet, several of the larger monasteries have been recreated in India to further religious studies. And women who wish to be ordained can enter nunneries like this one called Dolma Ling. The nuns here study English and Tibetan along with religious texts. And this nun's radiant face speaks to the joy that she gets from her studies. The impressive Gyuto Monastery is temporary home to His Holiness the 17th Gyalwang Karmapa, the head of the 900-year-old Karma Kagyu lineage, which is different lineage from the Dalai Lamas, but similar. The Gyuto monks are famous worldwide for their special frequency chanting, where each of the deep notes sounds like an entire chord. After we met with Kangser Rinpoche, who's one of the head lamas, and we were offered tea and welcomed, we were invited to enter the temple and experience this awesome sound while viewing the just magnificent artifacts there. Inside the temple was this beautiful tekpu on the left, which is a small house in which a sand mandala is created. And a sand mandala, as many of you know, is an intricate work of art. It's made completely from memory by the monks, and it's used in tantric initiation rituals. So I'm going to stop the slideshow again before we get to our highlight, in case anybody would like to ask a question or make a comment.
Well, I noticed that George Noble wrote, thanks to Richard Gere and others, I have several sets of prayer flags that his organization distributes. So tell us a little bit about the prayer flags. What is the history of that? And Rev Deb, any details about your connection with Mr. Gere?
He was actually there when we were there, but he was in a meditation retreat, so we didn't see him.
Oh,
but they
wow.
saw him at the gala a few days before.
I remember seeing the pictures of him at the gala. Yeah.
Yes, I've known him for many years, since I worked with Barry on the book. And it's, to me, it's kind of a personal thing, because I remember in the beginning, I was in theater, and Richard Gere started, I first saw him on Broadway in a very intense drama called Bent.
Oh, wow. I remember that. Yeah.
Do you? Yeah. And then I started seeing him in films, and he was kind of a wild guy, you know? And then he met the Dalai Lama, and I feel like I've seen him transform into this beautifully humble, sweet soul. He so honors the Dalai Lama, and they're very close. And as Diane said, when we saw him at the gala this year, he told us that he was on his way to Dharamsala, but we wouldn't see him there because he was going to be in a silent retreat. So he takes this path very seriously. Like Olivia, he's a big supporter of the Tibet Fund. And I think it's very important in our world today for people of renown, whether they're actors or musicians or sports figures, to take on causes because people pay attention to them. So that's all I want to say about Richard Gere. But Diane, maybe you can answer the question about the prayer flags.
Well, I'll say something about Richard Gere first, because it loops into our trip. I just want to thank Rinchen Darlow, one of our colleagues from this journey, because I remember there was a Tibetan protest outside of the United Nations because there was some politics going on, and Rinchen was with Richard Gere, and I actually got a kiss on the cheek from Richard Gere, thanks to Rinchen. Tibetan prayer flags, I really don't know the background. Deborah, maybe you know better than I mean, of course, the Tibetans always put them in holy places. When we were walking up to Trijang Rinpoche Stupa, they were all over the place. They put them outside their homes, and I think it's a form of our protection, actually. And I don't know if anybody else knows more of the purpose of the prayer flags.
Well, I know one purpose is that when they wave in the breeze, they're spreading the prayers. And one of the slides we showed you, actually two of the slides we showed you, had prayer wheels at Trijang Rinpoche's stupa, and also the pictures of coming up the hill. And these big, colorful prayer wheels, you turn them, and that also sends the prayers out into the atmosphere. And when a sand mandala is created, it is dismantled. It's not supposed to be permanent. And you pour it into a body of water in the expectation that the water will then evaporate and rain the prayers down on the world. So all of these are ways of spreading the prayers. And many of the prayers are mantras, like the famous one that everybody knows, Om Mani Padme Hum. That is the very basic prayer of Tibetan Buddhism.
Thank you so much. I did not know that about that. It's spreading, the wave is spreading it in the air. waters. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So, Sylvia is asking, could you please pull up the www.tnp.org link on screen and say it's folks. Oh, I see. It's for folks not in the chat. The Tibetan Nuns Project. I will do that. And do either of you or Olivia have anything that you could say about the Tibetan Nuns Project? Is that something you're familiar with or know about?
I believe it's supported by the Tibet Fund. Is that the case, Olivia?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. There was somebody at the gala this year talking about a similar activity. I don't recall if it was called that name, but it was to give money for the Tibetan nuns so that they can expand their education. And it was very popular with the audience, especially the women.
Well, I did find the website. So here it is. And for anybody who's watching on Facebook or our Zoom roomers, the Tibetan Nuns Project.
What a wonderful picture.
It is a beautiful picture, isn't it?
Yeah. And also there's the Tibetan Children's Village that if anybody wants to be a sponsor of a Tibetan child, you just go on the website. There's different options for sponsorship monthly or all in one. But that is it's just an incredible example of children being so embraced, many of them orphans, but feeling at home. It was just such a beautiful, uplifting environment. And I know like the people that went there and are adults now said that it just changed their life and they still feel like a family. So it's a beautiful thing to sponsor. So I would encourage you to go on their site.
Beautiful. Oh, thank you. And thank you, Sylvia. She put into our Zoom room where we can learn more about the prayer flags. And it's also actually part of the Tibetan Nuns Project website. George writes that Tom Kenyon, educator and medium, supported the nuns himself. So by music that he created of the nuns. So
Right.
thank you everybody for your
Beautiful.
contributions.
Wonderful.
Well,
So are we ready for the grand finale here?
Go for the grand finale.
Almost finished. Ta-da, like Deborah says.
Okay, let's see.
Get it back up.
First, I share screen.
Great.
And
Okay.
wait,
So I'll take it away.
1 second.
Okay.
1 second. Play from current slide. There we go.
Okay, good. So thank you. So we wanted to presence the Dalai Lama's secretary, Seren Chime and Tenzin, who is the Dalai Lama's nephew, and his lovely wife, Sereng, who's in the picture, as well as Rinchen Darlo, who gave us so much support in setting up our activities in Dharamsala, as well as guidance regarding the award presentation. And this is a photo of the dinner we had with them the night before the presentation. So here's the highlight, which you just saw in video that Olivia and her team beautifully put together. The presentation of the Oneness of Humanity Award by our lovely Olivia, founder and president of the Spiritual Life TV channel. And also she's the founder and president of the Synthesis Foundation. She's been busy. And she, as you know, initiated this award to honor those that are promoting and embodying oneness. So Olivia has shared that the very purpose of our trip to Dharamsala was to honor His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, with the Oneness of Humanity Award for his outstanding life effort to promote oneness and kindness and compassion, and to be such a shining example of it himself. And the Dalai Lama has stated that the oneness of the entire humanity is his main effort, as you heard in the video. So who better than to be honored with the very first award than His Holiness? So this picture, as Deborah mentioned earlier, she was sick and she didn't want to give him her cold, which was very noble of her, we all thought, and we honor her for that. So this photo was taken in front of the Dalai Lama's residence and administrative headquarters. So that's where the actual award ceremony took place. So before we left Dharamsala, we were given a tour of the new Dalai Lama Library and Archives, where the award will be housed. And this library will preserve the previous, current, and any future Dalai Lama's teachings in digital format, books, awards, and other resources. And the Dalai Lama said at the inauguration of the library, at a certain point, the whole question of Tibet seemed about to vanish like a rainbow. But we set up schools and reestablished our monasteries so that today Tibetan culture, religion, and language thrive in exile. And we certainly saw that while we were in Dharamsala.
After such a joyful experience, it was hard to leave Dharamsala, but it will always hold a special place in our hearts. Our deepest gratitude to Olivia Hansen for her vision, her wisdom, her friendship, her great generosity, and her light. May her commitment to the oneness of humanity shine that light throughout the world. May the Tibetan people thrive in their faith and their devotion, and may His Holiness the Dalai Lama continue to be a beacon of hope in these times and for the ages to come. Thank you.
What a beautiful, beautiful presentation. Thank you so much. This is exactly what I wanted when we were talking.
Thank you.
Exactly what I wanted. It's really beautiful. Thank you so much. And may we all carry that spirit as we enter the solstice time. And I do want to honor all three of these wonderful ladies and some of the things that they're involved in. And we're all part of the Evolutionary Leaders Network. I'm very honored. And we're going to be meeting in Mexico next month. My gosh, I can actually say next month in January. So about that. But, you know, a wonderful way to learn more about the what these ladies are doing is to go to the Source of Synergy Foundation. And that's what Diane Williams is the executive director of, the Source of Synergy Foundation. And there's a few things I want to show people here. The actual website, for those of you watching, is just sourceofsynergyfoundation.org. Sourceofsynergyfoundation.org. And we're going to get back to our moment of choice in a moment. But definitely what you want to do is connect on Facebook. They have a Facebook page. And certainly donate. We always appreciate donations. But we also want to invite you to become part of this movement. So again, if you go to the Facebook page, whoops, this is not
no.
Well, okay, dokie. I wonder what that's about.
I don't know, we had to check that.
All right, well, let's swing into talking about our moment of choice. We actually dedicated an entire show of, I think it was back in the Saturday Night Alive days, to our moment of choice. It's an amazing book written by 43 of the different evolutionary leaders, people like Reverend Michael Beckwith, JJ and Desiree Hertog, who are going to be on our show this Saturday night, as a matter of fact. So definitely, it's a beautiful anthology book. And it's one of those books you can just open it up, turn to any page, and there's beautiful inspiration. And Santa Claus is going to be giving this to all the little boys and girls who've been good. And he does that through each of you. He did it through us, the Global Peace Tribe. We are Santa Claus. So I really want to encourage people, go and buy copies, give it out. This is a great stocking stuffer, a great gift for people. You don't know what to get somebody. Get them a book that will provide inspiration for all of 2024 and beyond. So strongly recommending that. Anything either of you want to add about the Source of Synergy Foundation or our moment?
Yes, one more.
Yes.
The evolutionaryleaders.net.
Absolutely. I've got it. I just have right here. So this is where you can learn more about the evolutionary leaders. And we really want to encourage everybody to really become part of us. Join this call to evolution. So again, the website is evolutionaryleaders.net, evolutionaryleaders.net. And just scroll down, you can see all the different evolutionary leaders. A lot of these people you'll recognize have been on our show right off the bat. I mean, there's Summer Joyce, who was on last week. There's my old friend Peter Russell, I've known for 40 years. So
Wow.
many people you've seen on our show, and you'll end up seeing hopefully all of them over the years. But what we want to do is then scroll down just a little bit where it says a call to conscious evolution, and click here, and that's where you can answer the call. Now, of course, give your email address. You can get occasional messages. They don't send out a lot, but the ones they send out are valuable. Of course, give your name, and then you can actually respond and make comments and ideas. And 49,000 people have answered the call. Let's push that up to 50,000 by the end of this year. And there again is our moment of choice. There's another way you can order it. So you can order it off Evolutionary Leaders or off Source of Synergy Foundation. And
I've also put the website for the book in the chat, ourmomentofchoice.com. And if you sign up, if you sign on to the call to conscious evolution, you'll also get the monthly newsletter of the evolutionary leaders, The Edge, which is kind of like one-stop shopping to see what everybody's up to. It's always chock full of information and videos and lots of goodies. And I want to also acknowledge Olivia here, because Olivia, for years, she's been a very active member in the Evolutionary Leaders Circle. And one of the things that she has encouraged us to do is to spread the call to conscious evolution. So, Olivia, if there's anything you'd like to say about that.
No, it's just, it is such a powerful message. And, you know, I think if we can get this out to others, there's so many other people that would like to be a part of this. And it's a way to get you connected with evolutionary leaders and what they're doing and how you can collaborate, contribute. It's just a beautiful potential voice of conscious evolution that needs to get out and strengthened in this world, because so many people would, I think, you know, want to be a part of this. But if we can get it on more websites and more publicity with that, yeah, Scott, we ought to hit the 50,000 mark. How about 100,000? You know, I know there's that many people. We probably know that many, you know.
That's true. And people are asking about your website, so I'm going to that, Olivia. So it's the Spiritual Life TV channel, and the website URL is just spirituallifetvchannel.com.
Right.
Spirituallifetvchannel.com. And there's lots of ways you can participate there. Look at all these beautiful videos she has. 7 Rays of Life Energies, our good friend Steve Farrell, Olivia, a lot of Dot Maver, she's been on this show many times. Dean Radin, so a lot of Stephen Dinan from Shift Network. So there's a lot going on here, a lot of beautiful things, and you can subscribe to the Spiritual Life TV channel on YouTube. And if you go there, that takes you to their YouTube channel. There we go. I'm trying to get to the YouTube channel.
And you know what? I don't know if you can do this, Scott, but what we have rotating stories at the top. And one of them is the Dalai Lama's World Peace Talk on the West Lawn of the Capitol. And when he saw that, I mean, that was just, it was such a wonderful event, because we were anchoring peace on the US Capitol. And we had Whoopi Goldberg be the MC. She came out and said, I bet you're surprised seeing me here. That was it. It was an event everyone. And there were all these young people and he was speaking to them. But when he saw that, that was the cover I chose to show him of the channel for the award. And I'm sure that it meant a lot to him when he was able to do that in the United States.
Olivia, can you get him to do it again there?
Well, I know we need him again, and unfortunately, he's not traveling that far anymore. But you're right, we need a little refresher, don't we?
Yes.
Well, ladies, thank you so much for each and every one of you, along with Marty Casey, really deserve that next year's award for all the work that you do. And I'm looking forward to being with all of you in Mexico next month.
Yes.
And so thank you so much. I've got a few announcements and then we're going to have a final Omashar song. But let's all twinkle these wonderful ladies for taking us to Dharamsala. And there's Dr. Marty joining us.
This was just a delight to be with you. So it's a joy. Thank you.
Lots and
Thank
lots.
you so much, Scott.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Thank you. So, you know, tomorrow is the solstice and we got a lot that we could do. So I want to invite everybody to join me for all the things that I'm going to show you. So our day is going to start with our wonderful friend Tatiana Speed, and you saw her on our show. She was on the show Saturday night, and she's such a wonderful musician and one of our absolute favorites. And she's doing lullabies for adults, although it's in the morning. A nourishing journey into the body and into the heart. If you go to her website, tatianaspeed.com, you can get tickets. I bought a ticket. I'm going to start my day. Well, actually, I'm starting my day by leading the Global Peace Tribe Twin-Ray meditation at 6:30 in the morning. So I will be leading that tomorrow morning for everybody. Then I've got a client. But then at 10 o'clock, I will be joining, hopefully many of you, for this beautiful concert with our friend Tatiana Speed. Then I want to invite everybody to participate in a beautiful free offering from our good friend Eden Amadora. It's the second day of her 3-day masterclass event, Winter Solstice Ritual. I spoke to her today and she said you don't have to have seen the one she did today. Tomorrow is the actual ritual. Today was kind of preparation for it. There is a replay link, and I'll put the replay link into the chat box during Omashar's song. So you can watch the replay from today's day 1. Tomorrow is day 2, and that's at 11 a.m. Pacific time. So an hour of music with Tatiana. Then we're going to swing over and really participate in this beautiful 90-minute ritual led by Eden Amadora. Eden's going to be my co-host this Saturday night, by the way, for our Holy Day show. Then, for the next 24 hours after that, our dear friend Summer Joy Raymer is going to be dancing. And so the Summer Joy Raymer 24-hour dance-a-thon starts tomorrow morning. And you can tune in with her at any time. Again, I'll put that link into the chat box during Omashar's song. And then we kind of wrap up the official events with our beloved Kristen Hoffman, who's got a summer solstice concert happening. That's going to be in collaboration with Ben Bowler and Unity Earth, and that's at 5 o'clock Pacific time. So what an amazing day we've got planned. And again, remember, you can drop in on Summer Joy Raymer's dance-a-thon. She does it for 24 hours from 11 a.m. Thursday morning until 11 a.m. on Friday morning. And you know what I did last time is I literally just had that Zoom of her playing all night long while I went to bed, and I kind of periodic look, and there she was at 3 o'clock in the morning dancing. And what was really sweet was Global Peace Tribers were with her at 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. There's no pressure that any of you need to do that, but many of you were with her dancing. I know I saw Ayada, who's with us, was dancing with her, and Dana Tomasino was dancing with her. So, and you don't have to dance, you can just come in and provide beautiful support. So it's going to be an amazing solstice. And it is all part of this wonderful awakening that is happening. And I guess the last thing I want to promote is it all kind of leads up to our annual Holy Day party. And we've got a really special event planned. It's going to be, of course, on Saturday night, our regular Saturday night event. And we have JJ and Desiree Herzog, and they're going to be sharing a very unique approach to this time, this kind of sacred time. Reverend Matthew Fox talking about some of the history of this holy time. And Padre and Antoinette are going to be with us, talking about it from the spirit of Ubuntu perspective, and also from the perspective of the Urantia book. So we're going to really look at it from several different spiritual practices, if you will, several different ways of celebrating this holy time. And also remember the true meaning of Christmas. It's my birthday. So with that, that's a lot of announcements and a lot to absorb and a lot for me to put into the chat box. So thank God we've got Omashar to close us out with a song while I put everything into the chat box.
I was always wondering the true meaning of Christmas, and now I know, brother. and I'm so grateful that it is you.
People get confused. They think it's about, all the presents and Hallmark cards. They think it's about that little dude in the manger.
I know.
And he wasn't even born on Christmas Day. He was born
I know.
Spring, right?
I wasn't in March. He was born on something on my birthday, which is the 15th. And so there we are. And so tonight's show has been specifically poignant because I had a beautiful trip to Mount Kailash, starting off in Kathmandu, and we had amazing, too much to talk about, but we had, on the way there, we went to something called the Sagadawa Festival, which is the Tibetan Buddhists' day. It's kind of like Diwali, and it's the month of merits, and it's honoring the birth of the Buddha. And when I was there, on the way to Mount Kailash, this is one of the photos that I took. And so there was thousands of people there, out in the middle of kind of nowhere. And it was noisy, as you can see. And here's the other one. I can't get out of the way, but anyway, it was phenomenal. And then from then we went up to Mount Kailash. I'm just reminiscing, and so thank you, the beautiful Deborah and team, and Olivia, and for bringing me deeper into my heart through the story and the sharing that you've had today. And so let's go into a little song, and here's my song background. And and Diane. I knew that. Lost in a sea of illusion, feeling so alone. Lost on a wave of confusion. Where do you turn? Flow with the tide of completion. Know the reason why. Drink in the waters of healing and be healed. We're coming home to the part of us that's waking up. And we know deep inside of us we've got a friend. And we remember the design of our lives. We remember the desire in our hearts. And we feel love. And we feel love. Dive into the depths of your being. Know that all is well. And dive into the deepest ocean. And see the truth. And cast off the cover of darkness. Free yourself from fear. Show that you're ready and willing to make the change. We're coming home to the part of us that's waking up. And we know deep inside of us we've got a friend. We remember the design of our lives. We remember the desire in our hearts. And we feel love. And we feel love.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much, Omashar. I'm going to go to gallery view. Let's all twinkle Omashar. Let's twinkle Diane and Olivia and Rev Deb and Dr. Marty and ourselves. What a beautiful peace tribe we all get to be a part of.
Thank you so much.
And we will be back on Saturday night. Here's the poster. And we actually have a couple of other surprises of people who are going to be joining us. So please join us this Saturday night as we honor many different traditions of these holy days. Much love, everybody. Thanks for being here. And I encourage you all, save the chat. Like right now, go down and save the chat because it's got all the information about all the stuff happening tomorrow. And I really hope to see each and every one of you at Tatiana's concert or at Summer Joy or with Eden or with Kristen. Wow, what a great day we've got going on. And some of you I'll even see for the 6:30 a.m. meditation. So it's going to be a wonderful day together. Take care, everybody, and have a beautiful evening. Get a good night's rest.